What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another midweek video. This week, we're talking action. We're going to be shooting stills, and it's going to be fast-moving objects. And now a lot of people always tend to struggle with how to freeze that motion, how to stop it and make that a crisp, clear image. There's a couple little tricks that you can use to really help boost either your action photography or really just, if you got your dog running around the backyard, which is exactly what we're going to do here in just a minute. So we're slowly running out of light, so we're going to try to shoot those momentarily. But let me just hit the camera settings real quick. Speed. Now we're shooting in manual mode, obviously. So in manual mode, you're adjusting your ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. When I'm shooting anything fast-paced or moving quickly, I'm always adjusting my shutter speed first because that's the primary thing to freeze the motion. Tonight, I'm going to be shooting at a 400th or 500th of a second. So that is my shutter speed. And then secondarily, I'm going to open up my aperture as far as I can go because we're running out of light here tonight. So I'm shooting at a 500th of a second at my f-stop 2.8, and I'm starting at ISO 2000, which is high. I get that, it just depends on your camera and how high you need to boost that ISO, depending on how dark it is outside or how fast you need to shoot. So tonight we're going to be shooting my dog Molly, who's going to be running around the yard here in just a second. So this should be plenty fast enough for her. Say I'm shooting, baseball or something much faster, you need to go up to 1,000th of a second or even higher and faster, which, you need to adjust your ISO accordingly. Tonight, I'm shooting on the Nikon D500. I've got it paired with my Tamaron 70-200. Pretty simple setup. Tonight, I'm shooting on my Nikon D500. It's a crop sensor camera, and it's paired with my 70-200 Tamaron lens. It's a great little combo. I think that crop sensor gives you a little extra range with the 70-200 versus using it on a full frame camera. I do shoot it on both. Just depends on the scenario I'm in, but for action, I do prefer my D500. Super fast camera, great quality images. Can't really complain too much about it. It's been a great little camera for me. Okay, so let me call the dog out, and you'll probably lose my voice a little bit, but I'll come back and talk as I shoot, and maybe you'll see her in the background here. Okay. Molly is scared of the light and the audio equipment for some reason, so just snap a shot here and check my exposure. So we're definitely a little underexposed, so I'm going to go ahead and bump that ISO up to 3200. And that's looking a little dark still, so I'm going to go down to a 400th of a second, ISO 3200 at 2.8. So that's the settings I'm going to run with for back over here. Okay, so you just saw me run around a little bit. That'll be a really short clip, but I'm a little out of breath, so I'm gonna try to get her back out here and give an example of what not to do as far as your shutter speed being too low just to get a proper exposure. I'm gonna leave my ISO at 3200 and keep my f-stop at 2.8, but I'm gonna drop my shutter speed down to 100th of a second, which would be something standing still or not moving. Since Molly is a little afraid, we're gonna do the same example, but Rob is going to photograph me, and I'm going to go ahead and lose my breath out running around in the yard.
All right, let's do this.
So we're still set up.
Let's do this.
Still set up, ISO 3200, but we've dropped down our shutter speed to 100th of a second, and we're still shooting our f-stop at 2.8.
It's so wet. It's so wet.
Okay, so I'm leaving Rob in the same spot. He's going to adjust the shutter speed to 1/500th of a second. And we're gonna leave the ISO at 3200 and still shoot at f2.8. So now you're gonna see the difference between the exposure, but also how crisp that motion looks compared to shooting at a much slower frame rate. All right, so we'll flash some up of those dark images up on the screen that we just took since we've lost a lot of light, but it'll clearly show the difference between shooting at a much faster shutter speed and a slow shutter speed, and why or when you would use either. So say I'm trying to get some motion blur in the subject to show the motion, you could slow that shutter speed down and go to 100th or 200th of a second and kind of show a little bit of that, rather than shooting at a 500th or above to freeze that motion and really crisp up that image and that action. running out of breath. I ran through the mud. My shoes are trashed. I got my ho socks dirty.
No.
All right, so if you guys have any questions about the gear, any type of photography, action type of question, even if it doesn't relate, go ahead and just put it right down there. Totally cool with that. We're looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. Thanks for watching another midweek video. Stay creative.